Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Emily Horler and I'm here with Mahesh Narayan of Thomson Reuters, and we're talking about the research unbundling implications of MiFID II. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
How do you expect the research unbundling section of the MiFID II regulations to impact firms that produce and consume investment research?
This is going to be a profound implication for the industry in terms of how these regulations impact not just the buy side, how they consume research, but also the sell side, which produces research. Some of these regulations are evolving and they're expected to change in the next 6 months or so, but the regulatory bodies have been very clear about three things. One, none of these services can be consumed for free anymore, and they've been very clear too that it's not just the research product, but the analyst calls, the meetings, the investor trips, everything counts as part of the research product. So none of these can be free anymore. Third thing they've said is they're not being prescriptive about how firms should be paying for these anymore, but they're being very clear that you need a systematic process. So it's obligatory for all the buy-side firms to now have a systematic process as to how they deal with the sell side, what they consume, how they keep track of these, how they value each of these, and have a process that you, at the end of the year or periodically, whether it's annually, monthly, quarterly, have a process to keep track of who you use and how you use.
So how do you think buy-side firms are looking to deal with this in terms of how they source and pay for research?
So the buy-side firms are going to be looking at this in two ways, right? One, they are going to use this as a way to optimize their research spend. They're going to see which are the brokers who add the highest value in terms of research for me. And when I say research, it's not just a research product, but also research, the calls, the analyst meetings, and so on, right? So you will see, and we talked to a lot of these buy-side firms today, they're cutting down the number of brokers that they use. So typically, a big asset management firm might be using 50 brokers. They might go from 50 to 20 to 10. So you're going to see a shrinkage in terms of how they consume research, and they're trying to optimize. The second part is you're going to have the buy-side firms being very careful about how they track usage consumption. So since the MiFID is going to have the buy-side firms required to have a systematic process, they're going to have internal controls as to which of our analysts are consuming which research from which firms. So the buy-side firms have to look at this as not just a regulatory need, but also a mechanism for them to optimize their research spend. So it's going to actually have a positive impact for the buy-side industry.
And what about firms that are producing research, including the sell-side brokers and independent research firms? How are they preparing for MiFID II?
So again, the sell side has to really think about their role as in the industry as they go along, right? So you're going to have different firms think about it in different manners. You're going to have the big bulge bracket firms that have to really emphasize the waterfront research that they provide and the value they provide, not just in terms of research, but also the analyst meetings and the corporate access that they provide. The mid-sized firms will have to really think about, okay, what is differentiated about my offering? Because if the buy side is going to start cutting down the number of brokers that they use, what exactly does the mid-sized broker offer to the buy side firm? What's differentiated about my offering? Is there a specific sector that I'm really good at? Is there a specific region? Is there a specific analyst? Are there specific events that I can do, right? And then this will create actually an opportunity for the really small independent research firms because they distinguish themselves based on the quality of their research, right? They don't cover everything, but they cover a few things really well. So these firms get an opportunity to now get in front of the bigger asset management firms and sort of highlight the quality of the research. So the sell-side firms will have to not just rethink how they produce the research, but how they distribute research. So is it the distribution model of research which has sort of evolved over time from just pure email to aggregators like Thomson Reuters and so on? How do the big firms and the mid-sized firms think of distribution of research in the MiFID world? And you're going to see different avenues, whether it's through portals, whether it's through aggregators like us, whether it's through social media platforms and so on. You're going to see evolution in terms of distribution.
Finally, do you think research unbundling will just impact European financial institutions, or do you think there'll be a global impact?
Well, absolutely, it's going to have a global impact. When we speak to our buy-side customers, some of the large asset managers, they want global harmonization of their procedures, not just about how they consume research, but how they pay for research. And it's the same with the sell-side firms. When we talk to the big brokers, they want, again, straight, simple policy that applies across all the regions. So absolutely, while the regulations are emerging out of the European authorities, this will be applicable across and have impact globally.
Mahesh, thank you very much.
Thank you again.
And thank you for watching.